Persian asked what misfortune had happened. "What?" exclaimed the lady. "You ask me that, knowing that my son Noureddin has been alone with you." "But, madam," inquired the Persian, "what harm is there in that?" "How? Has my husband not told you that you are destined for the king?" "Certainly, but Noureddin has just been to tell me that his father has changed his mind and has bestowed me upon him. I believed him, and so great is my affection for Noureddin that I would willingly pass my life with him." "Would to heaven," exclaimed the wife of the vizier, "that what you say were true, but Noureddin has deceived you, and his father will sacrifice him in vengeance for the wrong he has done." So saying, she wept bitterly, and all her slaves wept with her. Khacan, entering shortly after this, was much astonished to find his wife and her slaves in tears, and the beautiful Persian greatly perturbed. He inquired the cause, but for some time no answer was forthcoming. When his wife was at length sufficiently calm to inform him of what had happened, his rage and mortification knew no bounds. Wringing his hands and rending his beard, he exclaimed, "Wretched son, thou destroyest not only thyself but thy father. The king will shed not only thy blood but mine." His wife tried to console him, saying, "Do not torment thyself. With the sale of my jewels, I will obtain 10,000 gold pieces, and with this sum you will buy another slave." "Do not suppose," replied her husband, "that it is the loss of the money that affects me. My honor is at stake, and that is more precious to me than all my wealth. You know that Saoi is my mortal enemy. He will relate all this to the king, and you will see the consequences that will ensue." "My lord," said his wife, "I am quite aware of Saoi's baseness, and that he is capable of playing you this malicious trick. But how can he or anyone else know what takes place in this house? Even if you are suspected, and the king accuses you, you have only to say that, after examining the slave, you did not find her worthy of his majesty. Reassure yourself, and send to the dealers, saying that you are not satisfied, and wish them to find you another slave." This advice appearing reasonable, Khacan decided to follow it, but his wrath against his son did not abate. Noureddin dared not appear all that day, and fearing to take refuge with his usual associates, in case his father should seek him there, he spent the day in a secluded garden where he was not known. He did not return home till after his father had gone to bed, and went out early next morning before the vizier awoke, and these precautions he kept up during an entire month. His mother, though knowing very well that he returned to the house every evening, dare not ask her husband to pardon him. At length, she took courage and said, "My lord, I know that a son could not act more basely towards his father than Noureddin has done towards you. But after all, will you now pardon him? Do you not consider the harm you may be doing yourself, and fear that malicious people, seeking the cause of your estrangement, may guess the real one?" "Madame," replied the vizier, "what you say is very just, but I cannot pardon Noureddin before I have mortified him as he deserves." "He will be sufficiently punished," answered the lady, "if you do as I suggest. In the evening, when he returns home, lie in wait for him and pretend that you will slay him. I will come to his aid, and while pointing out that you only yield his life at my supplications, you can force him to take the beautiful Persian on any conditions you please." Khacan agreed to follow this plan, and everything took place as arranged. On Noureddin's return, Khacan pretended to be about to slay him, but yielding to his wife's intercession, said to his son, "You owe your life to your mother. I pardon you on her intercession, and on the conditions that you take the beautiful Persian for your wife and not your slave, that you never sell her, nor put her away." Noureddin, not hoping for so great indulgence, thanked his father and vowed to do as he desired. Khacan was at great pains frequently to speak to the king of the difficulties attending the commission he had given him, but some whispers of what had actually taken place did reach Saoui's ears. More than a year after these events, the minister took a chill, leaving the bath while still heated to go out on important business. This resulted in inflammation of the lungs, which rapidly increased. The vizier, feeling that his end was at hand, sent for Noureddin and charged him with his dying breath never to part with the beautiful Persian. Shortly afterwards he expired, leaving universal regret throughout the kingdom. Rich and poor alike followed him to the grave. Noureddin showed every mark of the deepest grief at his father's death, and for long refused to see anyone. At length a day came when one of his friends, being admitted, urged him strongly to be consoled and to resume his former place in society. This advice Noureddin was not slow to follow, and soon he formed little society of 10 young men, all about his own age, with whom he spent all his time in continual feasting and merrymaking. Sometimes the fair Persian consented to appear at these festivities, but she disapproved of this lavish expenditure and did not scruple to warn Noureddin of the probable consequences. He, however, only laughed at her advice, saying that his father had always kept him in too great constraint, and that now he rejoiced at his newfound liberty. What added to the confusion in his affairs was that he refused to look into his accounts with his steward, sending him away every time he appeared with his book. "See only that I live well," he said, "and do not disturb me about anything else." Not only did Noureddin's friends constantly partake of his hospitality, but in every way they took advantage of his generosity. Everything of his that they admired, whether land, houses, baths, or any other source of his revenue, he immediately bestowed on them. In vain the Persian protested against the wrong he did himself. He continued to scatter with the same lavish hand. Throughout one entire year, Noureddin did nothing but amuse himself and dissipate the wealth his father had taken such pains to acquire. The year had barely elapsed when one day, as they sat at table, there came a knock at the door. The slaves having been sent away, Noureddin went to open it himself. One of his friends had risen at the same time, but Noureddin was before him, and finding the intruder to be the steward, he went out and closed the door. The friend, curious to hear what passed between them, hid himself behind the hangings and heard the following words. "My lord," said the steward, "I beg 1,000 pardons for interrupting you, but what I have long foreseen has taken place. Nothing remains of the sums you gave me for your expenses, and all other sources of income are also at end, having been transferred by you to others. If you wish me to remain in your service, furnish me with the necessary funds, else I must withdraw." So great was Noureddin's consternation that he had not a word to say in reply. The friend, who'd been listening behind the curtain, immediately hastened to communicate the news to the rest of the company. "If this is so," they said, "we must cease to come here." Noureddin re-entering at that moment, they plainly saw, in spite of his efforts to dissemble, that what they had heard was the truth. One by one they rose, and each with a different excuse left the room, till presently he found himself alone, though little suspecting the resolution his friends had taken. Then, seeing the beautiful Persian, he confided to her the statement of the steward, with many expressions of regret for his own carelessness.